Okay, so I have not made one of these in a minute. I am very sorry, but today we are going to learn how to blur the background of your photos, kind of like this. And look how this photo was before. Really wasn't that great. I mean, it was good, but I edited it in Lightroom beforehand and then I imported it into Photoshop. So this is just how to blur your photos, well, the backgrounds at least. So you want to open up Photoshop. The photo that you want to work on. But I already have my photo right here, so I'm just gonna click on that. It's gonna load real quick. And as you can see, this is the only thing on your layers. So what I usually do first is I make a copy of my layer. So I just I make a copy of it by pushing Command J. And you know what? Let's make two. And you'll see why. And now you want to go to your quick selection tool, which is right here on the left hand side of where all your tools are, which are going to be on this side right here. And as you can see, the quick selection tool just quickly selects what it needs to based on what you're clicking on. And there's a little tip: if you're using the quick selection tool, don't just click once and drag and hope you're getting everything. If you want to really just get precise, just click and drag small little clicks, just so that way, just in case you mess up, like over here, you can just push Command Z and you can go back as many steps as it allows you to. I mean, it's only a certain amount, but you go a step back each time. So I'm gonna put a blur on the rocks. Oops, I accidentally deleted a layer. So I'm going to put a small blur on the rocks right here and another different blur on the bridge. So I'm going to go on my layer 1, make a mask. But on layer 1 you have to select the photo right here to apply filter, and then you could just go to blur, Gaussian blur, and then here is where you determine how blurry you want it. So if you zoom out, you can see that you add a blur every time you go up on the pixels. But since I'm just applying this to the rocks, I'm going to zoom in and put it at 2.6. Push OK. And you're probably wondering why you can't see it. Well, it's because your top layer is turned on. So you want to turn it off so you can see it and be like, okay, that's what I'm working with. Cool. So now you want to get your quick selection tool and make sure you're selected on your mask, this white little screen that's next to your photo. And the way you can tell you're selected on your mask is if you go up here to where it shows the title of your photo, and it'll say right here layer mask. If you click on the photo, it'll say RGB, and then if you click back on the mask, it'll say layer mask. So now that my quick selection tool is selected, and I have the plus sign on the brush, I'm going to start selecting the rocks. Oops, went too far. And then select these other rocks so it looks a little more realistic. I was using my zoom lens with this, so I wasn't able to get so sharp on it. I wasn't able to get such of a sharp photo as I could have if I had a different lens, but it's okay. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So now you just want to select the mask, and this is where you want to add the smoothness, the feathering, because when you have your picture looking really sharp and you want to show a lot of depth, the smoothness in the focusing really goes a long way, and it just helps the photo look a lot more sharp. So actually, I'm just gonna leave it where it was at. It was pretty good. And then bingo, push OK. And now let's turn that on. Now you can push Command X to let go of the selection so you can work on other stuff. And as you can see, you really can't tell there's too much of a blur on the photo. Well, now you can because my top layer is selected, but once you have the top layer, you see how it doesn't really apply to the rocks. It's more applying to the whole photo instead of the rocks. Well, that's just because your rocks are selected. So if you just invert your mask, you can see that it's just the rocks that are blurred right here. See, look, if you turn off the eyeball next to your layer and you just have the background layer, you can see everything's pretty much in focus. But then you turn on your mask layer and the rocks are blurred out now. So that's very helpful, huh? Yeah, I didn't know that until pretty recently. So let's make another, oops, not on that layer. So let's push Command Z. Let's make another mask on here, and let's mask out these bridges so we can make it a little more blurry. Okay, I want to get more detailed and select these wires right here. So I'm going to push Command plus on my keyboard to zoom in, and I'm going to push the bracket that is closest to the P, just because determines the size of what you're selecting. If you push the brackets, left is smaller bracket, right is the bigger bracket. So I'm going to go to probably 2. Let's see. I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm going to zoom back out by pushing Command minus to look at my whole photo. Select the mask, and here you actually have a brush that you can, if you do the same thing, you can make the brush smaller. So let's zoom in on this this is probably like the most tedious thing that people don't realize makes your picture a lot more better. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you take great photos too already, but it's just little things like this that can take it that extra mile. And see, I didn't even realize that until actually I started using Photoshop a little bit more, getting more serious, and yeah. Alright, so I feel like that's good just for now, and let's push OK, and that looks pretty good. Now let's invert that. Oh no, we forgot to add the blur on the photo, so let's do that. Let's go to these bridges, zoom out a little. And they are farther away than the rocks, so let's not make it too crazy. Let's just touch it up, make sure it looks nice. And then push OK. Zoom out, and that little blur from before and after made it a lot better. And you know, those little things helped it out a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much how you make your backgrounds blurry. You add a Gaussian blur to your main photo, add a mask, select what you want, and invert it, and that allows you to blur out certain sections of your photo, showing that depth of field a lot more in detail. So I appreciate you guys coming and watching this video. I will see you guys next time.